Hello, everybody. I am Amanda Smith with the Activated Earth, and this is the Activated Earth Summit. And I am here today with Jennifer Green. She is a #1 best-selling children's book author. She is the creator of the Global Green Action Project, and she's a mindfulness expert. And we're going to talk a little bit about Jennifer's story today and how she got where she is. So thank you so much, Jen, for being here. I just really appreciate you being here. And if there's anything else you would like to say about yourself, go ahead and share it right now.
Well, I just want to start by saying thank you for having me here today. I'm so elated to be part of such an incredible initiative. And I apologize if you just heard my kitty cat in the background. He was hollering to say hello. Oh
I
my
love
goodness.
that. You've met my kitty cat. I closed my door so she couldn't come in.
This is with the door closed. If you heard him, that's how powerful his lungs are. So I
Something.
apologize. So I will continue again. I'm so elated to be here today. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be able to share in such a wonderful adventure with educators, scientists, energy healers, a wonderful community to be able to uplift our world to make it a better place. And I'm just so looking forward to being able to share my journey, some of the tools that I've learned to be able to contribute to healing to our local and global community and our planet. So, thank you so much for having me here
Oh,
today.
thank you. And, speaking of your journey, let's talk about that. So, a lot of what you do has to do with nature connection. And I would love to hear what is your compelling story that brought you into cultivating that connection?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful story, such an inspirational story. When I was a child, my parents, I was very fortunate. Both my parents are naturalists. They love the environment, they love the earth, they love animals. And that early cultivation of being able to explore nature and its magical journey was a real blessing for me. We lived in the country for many years, and my father, being the adventurer that he was, would take us into the wilderness, and he mastered the perfection of studying wild plants. So, as a child, I can remember as early as, my goodness, I was probably even 3 or 4 years old, and it carried on for many years. We would go hunting for wild mushrooms, and he would educate me about these beautiful mushrooms and what to look for and what not to touch, because there's a lot of dangerous mushrooms out there as well. And wild berries, wild foods, the beauty and energy of plants and trees, and the importance of protecting our environment and life around us. So I was really fortunate to have a father who had that kind of mission, that kind of passion for the earth and the energy and the life around us. And my mother followed the same vision, and she would be at home and she would educate us in the ways that at home, where we would be able to integrate that love for nature and animals. And it ties into my grandmother, my mother's mother, and she as old as 92. My grandmother passed at about 92 years of age. Literally weeks before she passed, she was busy saving animals, and as she had a little animal refuge, and she took care of abandoned animals. So this is the kind of upbringing that I had, people with a mission to help make this world a better place. And I feel very blessed to have had those early beginnings. And when I became a youth, early 20s, late teens, I also developed some health issues that were quite serious, and nobody could figure out what happened. And went to specialists. So, despite having this wonderful experience, I still developed some health issues, and it's summed up to doctors and specialists couldn't figure out what was wrong. And the conclusion was that it was possible that I was exposed to some kind of toxins in the environment. So that was kind of interesting. And I played outdoors a lot. I was always outside. I was in different parts of the environment that could have had some kind of toxin. Who knows? And that, again, led me on a journey to further explore the impact of not only just loving nature and the magical journey that we can have exploring that interconnectedness, but also what it means in terms of what happens when our own bodies are out of balance, and that what happens when we're exposed to something that can make us ill, and how that plays a part in that whole interconnected experience when we're talking about our world and our bodies and being optimally healthy. So that led me on a journey to studying health and wellness. And I went to school and I ended up becoming an environmental scientist. I explored wellness in terms of health as well. So I got many certifications in that domain, specialized in physics and biology and animal and environmental well being in terms of the ecosystems and so on. So through that whole journey, I explored all kinds of holistic modalities as well as scientific, modern medicine modalities to help heal myself, but also to help share the knowledge with so many people out there. And throughout the years, I was in this domain for many years, still am, have helped young and old alike to help them optimize their health and well being. And from all the knowledge that I've acquired and that has helped me as well. So, having gone through that wellness journey and am passionate about talking about toxins and how we have to live a clean life to optimize our health and well being, I eventually became an educator because I wanted to share more knowledge with more people. And eventually, I was trained to actually teach young and old, so I can teach the younger children all the way up to high school. I also have done adult education, so I've done all that. I worked at college actually as an educator for a little while. So having explored that whole plethora of an educational journey as well, I now find myself in an environment where I went through a journey of taking that and working in an outdoor ed center for a while and experiencing mindfulness and the connection of nature in such an interesting exploratory way, and being able to bring children into that environment. And when I say children, I'm also talking about big kids like adults as well. And I'm able to take that now into the classrooms because now I find myself working for the public system. And I find that there is an interesting experience having gone through all these different educational platforms, if you will, educational institutions, educational settings. There's been bits and pieces that I've been able to acquire and tie into that mindfulness piece, that holistic educational platform that I've created to be able to bring into the public system. And there's a huge there's a huge problem in our world now in terms of the busy that we all experience, the disconnect that we have with nature and the world around us. Let's face it, modern day has created a world of busy and detachment. And what that looks like is we, especially in Western society, are living in this chronic state of busy, chronic state of stress and anxiety. And what that does is causes us to miss out on all those beautiful gifts that we can have when we connect with nature. Because when we connect with nature, it's just Mother Nature's way of reminding us about being mindful, being truly connected, and to be able to truly heal ourselves. And so I really enjoy the opportunity to be able to bring these elements of healing into the classroom by simply educating children in the simplest of ways, but yet the most powerful of ways. And that's mindfulness in education. And so the book we were talking about, when you mentioned that I wrote a book, that was one of the ways to further that element of education as well, because not only supports children, but it also supports, oddly enough, their parents and their educators as they explore the adventure, the tale in the book. So I just love the opportunity to be able to share what I've learned in any way possible if it allows children a chance to acquire these tools so that they don't have to live in the busy and become chronically stressed. Because ultimately, chronic stress leads to mental health issues and it can lead to physical ailments. And having gone through a journey of unwell when I was younger, my mission is to be able to bring balance, wellness, connect the mind, body, spirit, and community together so that we can remember who we're meant to be, stewards of the earth, interconnected with nature, and be truly mindful so that we can not only heal ourselves, but through healing, we're able to take action and make our local and global community a better place. So I hope that makes a bit of sense.
Yes, yes, it does. And you've actually, we had a plan for what we were going to talk about, and you've broached on into some of my other questions. And I would really love to hear a little more deeply what your mindful connection with nature has done for you. And then, can you give me a specific example of how you apply that in the classroom setting, regardless of what you are teaching?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. It is such a powerful one. Mindfulness to me has literally allowed me to open up my heart in a way that I never imagined. It is when we talk about the magic of nature, that's exactly what mindfulness is. It allows us to feel the energy around us and to have so much empathy and compassion for everything that we do, for all life around us. And that literally transforms a person's perspective of everything they see in this world. And when we come at it from that perspective, when we're able to have so much empathy and compassion for life around us, we behave so differently in terms of everything we do. We are not so quick to react. We are able to make better decisions. So, when we talk about what mindfulness has done for me, it's allowed me to take pause. So let me explain that a little bit more. Ultimately, what mindfulness is to take pause, is to get away from the busy and just simply stop, take pause wherever you are in the moment, and just simply sit there and observe, like a scientist, what's going on around you, and observe it in a way that is compassionate and loving and without judgment. And that sounds perhaps very simple, but it actually isn't, because of the way in Western society, how we have conditioned ourselves not to be that way because we're living in the busy. So what mindfulness has done for me, it's allowed me to remember to take that pause frequently throughout my day so that I can remember who I truly am and be able to be the best version of myself, to give back to myself in terms of self-care, but also to be able to give back to all those I serve, to all those that I I have relationships with, and that includes Mother Nature, that includes the world around me. It brings so much more joy, so much more depth and meaning to my life as a result. And I just feel so grateful and so blessed. So that's what mindfulness has done for me. Now, how I brought it into the classroom is that gratitude, that sense of being. I want to be able to have every child experience this in their own lives. What a gift to be able to feel this connection with the world around you, because it transforms your life, gives you more purpose, more meaning. And again, it allows children to be the best versions of themselves so that they can identify their true gifts. They can they can hone into their intuition and know the right path that they need to take so they can have their most resilient and happy life and be able to give back to their local and global communities in a way that they feel grateful, that they feel connected with their world around them. So how I've done that in the classroom is I've built community in very creative ways. And that's one of the most powerful ways to build mindfulness, is to bring those children into a community that feels safe, where they are surrounded by compassionate care and know that they're able to explore their relationships with their peers, with their educators, with their environment in a way that is safe, compassionate, and meaningful to them. And that looks like various ways. For instance, I find myself in the last few years, I found myself in an interesting, unique situation, actually. I served and continue to serve as a support or specialty teacher. So, what that looks like is I only I'm only able to see a class for a very short period of time during the day. So it's usually about 40 minutes on average. And in each class, there is about anywhere from 26 to sometimes 30 something children per class contained in that environment. So that what that looks like, and I see about 6 to 7 classes a day. So if you do the math, I'm seeing roughly on average, give or take, 150 plus students a day. So that's the kind of impact I'm making on a daily basis. That's a lot of little souls and hearts that I really want to be able to touch in an impactful way in a very short period of time. So when they come to me, we have a very interesting routine. We sit down and we go through this routine where we settle in, because lots of little energy bodies have a lot going on. So you have to settle them in, but in a way that is compassionate and loving and safe. And I love to bring indigenous concepts into play. This is where we can have a healing circle or a community circle. So, by sitting down into a community circle, that allows them to settle in, number one, and two, to remind themselves that it's now time to be mindful. And it gives them time to take pause. And so, by simply settling into that particular routine, we start to engage those mindfulness practices. So, a community circle is very powerful to be able to achieve that right away. And then, once we go a little bit further, then we have uh, the gratitude piece, where we remind our community about the importance of gratitude, the power of gratitude. We reflect on things that we're grateful in that particular moment, on that particular day. And as many people know, there's a lot of science that shows us the power of gratitude in terms of helping us support our mental health and well-being. So doing this on a regular pattern every day, where I get to see these children for short periods of time every day, allows them to develop a mindful lifestyle routine without even realizing they're doing it. And that's the point. So community circle, gratitude, and then of course when we get into lessons, we want to integrate mindfulness into those lessons, whatever lesson we have during that day, and incorporate mindfulness tools and strategies. And that can look like using your five senses. And I love that expression, right? That expression where I'm sure all of us have heard it before, get back to your senses. And that's where it comes from. We've known for hundreds of years intuitively that by thinking about those senses, experiencing those senses, we're able to be mindful. It helps us take pause, contemplate what's going on, and be truly connected with ourselves and our environment. So, incorporating the five senses into the classroom can look like incorporating sound. So, using music modalities, for instance. There's research out there that says, when we incorporate music, such as classical music, for instance, we can engage better focus and learning. So children can actually become more focused, more zoned into what they need to learn, and they will actually enhance their learning. So that's one example. Another example is engaging the sense of touch. Uh, there is this many of us know there's this thing called test and exam anxiety. So when children are experiencing test and exam anxiety, or they're doing something that causes anxiety, by having a stress ball, for instance, or something that has rough texture or smooth texture, all those things that allow them to experience touch can actually help calm them, have less stress, help them come back to the moment and have more focus. So giving them tools that have those textile, tangible sensations can really help in terms of helping them focus, helping them feel better. So that's another example. Engaging other senses like smell can be a little tricky when you're in a classroom because some children experience sensitivities to smell. So we do have to be aware of that. However, what I have done that has worked is engaging more than one sense at the same time. So, for example, fresh cut flowers can work well, and sometimes they have a mild aroma that is acceptable. So, again, the color, the sensory aspects of color, of fresh cut flowers, and their natural healing energies because they're alive can provide a lot of healing benefits and calming benefits for children and students of all ages for that matter. And the gentle aroma is still acceptable. So again, engaging those aspects and incorporating more than one sense can be incredibly beneficial. So those are some examples in terms of how we can incorporate that into anything that we're learning. And in fact, we can incorporate that into not only a classroom, but especially during these unprecedented times, many parents have had to teach their children education at home. So, all these modalities can also be used at home in a learning environment as well to help children feel better, have less stress and anxiety, and ultimately just enhance their learning experience. So, those are some examples.
Yeah.
Nature is also really, really powerful in terms of just incorporating natural plant elements all around as well. I don't want to forget that piece. That's so, so important. There was a lesson plan that I often fall to as an example is the example of having plants in the classroom where children can help water the plant daily and nourish the plant and see it grow. So even though we might be in a contained building per se that isn't, the natural forest, we can still have these beautiful elements of nature and watch them grow and nurture them. And from a mindfulness perspective, that's huge. And then we can also go one step further, which we've done as well in my classroom, is say beautiful affirmations to the plant, right? I love you, plant. Be healthy, grow well. These kinds of things are powerful. There have been studies out there where people have done this and they've seen plants grow so much more successfully. I'm sure you have stories that are similar to this as well. So those are some examples. We can go into the further actual elements of breaking down the lesson plans, but that kind of gives you an overview of
Yeah.
some of the ways that we
Yeah.
learn.
That's really beautiful. And I love it that you've gleaned all of this mindfulness, wisdom and practice because of your nature connection. And I think it's amazing that you get to share this with so many of our youth on this planet. And what I would love to have you speak into next is how sharing this with those kids now gets to help with transformation on the planet. And what do you see as the biggest transitionary challenge that we're facing that gets to change?
Again, a wonderful question. You know, having experienced having experienced the power of mindfulness and also incorporating it into my life and sharing it with the world for so many years, one of the things that I often see many practitioners do is we really focus on the meditation piece and certain mindfulness modalities, which are incredibly powerful in terms of bettering the individual and helping one better self regulate, better control their emotions, and handle stress and anxiety. These are all very powerful. And, actually going into mindfulness in terms of the research that's being done, I'd like to actually go over that in case some people aren't aware of the many
Go
benefits of
for it.
mindfulness. Super. So again, we talked about mindfulness being incredibly powerful for developing focus. The research out there is very, very clear that when we start to practice mindfulness on a regular basis, our focus starts to improve. And again, that goes back to, our busy lifestyle and the fact that we have forgotten how to sit in the moment and simply be still, and be able to reap the many healing benefits that in itself has. So by practicing simple mindfulness tools, we're able to learn to focus again, sit still in the moment, and be okay with that, not have our mind wander all over the place. There's interesting research on that. In fact, Harvard University did research on this a few years back, and they actually found that we live in our head almost I think it's like 47% of the time. It's like almost half of our lives are spent in the busy thoughts in our head. Like, that's crazy. So having said that, that brings it back in terms of the science aspect of why it's so important to practice those mindfulness skills, right? It's going to help hone us into the moment, help us focus so that we can just simply be and be able to reap the benefits of the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest mode, as opposed to that sympathetic, which is the fight or flight mode, which again ties into that chronic stress, which we talked about earlier. So, mindfulness practices definitely help with that. They also have, it also has been shown that it helps develop all kinds of neural pathways in the brain that helps us with the emotional parts of our brain. So, what that means is it helps us have more deeper, more meaningful connections with others. We are able to be more emotionally resilient so that we have these amazing relationships with others. And then that goes into a deeper, more meaningful relationship with the world around us. Like, how amazing is that? So that also looks like we don't react so quickly, which means that we're able to self regulate better. We're not so angry, anxious, and stressed. We live more in the present moment. We're calmer. We're more joyful. It makes us happier. Happier beings do happy things in the world. And what a gift to be able to give our children of all ages this toolbox of living a more happier, more resilient life. And this ties into, how that impacts our immune system. If we're happier, we are building a stronger, healthier body, right? So there's that mind, body, spirit connection. And then we tie this into community, local and global community. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying earlier about, a lot of us out there, practitioners who practice mindfulness on a regular basis, we understand the importance of regular routine. And you can benefit from mindfulness immediately if you practice the tools, absolutely. But if you practice it on a regular basis, you are gaining so much more benefit. You'll just become happier. You just live a more meaningful, happier life overall. Now, this is where I come in with the extra mindfulness piece, which is so exciting because when we practice mindfulness on a regular basis, our heart opens up, which is kind of what I talked about earlier, what I've experienced. And we start to realize, the importance of sharing this beautiful gift with the world. And it looks like this. It looks like healing our world on such a greater level through action and implementation. So, my mission is to take that mindfulness piece one step further. No longer is it just about, bettering ourselves, which is so important because that is part of the first steps, but it's also part of taking that into the world and seeing how we can be part of local and global change to help humanitarian, environmental, and animal initiatives so that our world is healed on a global scale. So that's where I'm going with my mission, is that we need to take mindfulness on that extra step, on a much deeper level. We need to look at it in terms of, what does compassion mean for all? What does that look like in our lives on a global economical scale? What does it look like in terms of what we eat, how we behave in our society? What kind of society do we want to have? What does a compassionate society look like? All those questions can be answered when we come at it from a place of mindfulness practice on a global scale. So that's where I'm kind of going with it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I am feeling that deeply right now in every cell of my body, feeling that so deeply. And the importance of your message and what you have to share is just overwhelming in a way, and also incredibly empowering. And I am just really grateful that you're here and taking care of the youth the way that you are. And I know that's not the only way that you are sharing. That's not the only way. This woman is doing so much more. Um, you have the Global Green Action Project, and I would love to hear more about that and how that fits into your intention to cause this global ripple of change.
I'm honored to share this with you and to our global community. It is such a humbling experience to have this opportunity to share such a great platform for all to be part of. The Global Green Action Project came to me from a youth, actually, from the students that I was connecting with in this mindfulness community. And I realized that I was limited yet again, and I wanted to further the gift of mindfulness in action into the world. I had students come to me and say, what can we do? This isn't enough. We want to do more. So this initiative came from the voices of babes, for lack of a better word. How could I say no to that, right? And they literally empowered me to take action and say, okay, you are the teachers. You are challenging me, and what a gift, because that's ultimately what we want. We want to empower our children and youth in such a way that they become the teachers, the stewards of our earth, and take action to make this world a better place, and following their intuition, following their spirit, and their knowledge of just knowing intuitively that they are connected with this beautiful world, the nature that we live in, all life on this planet. So having said that, I was challenged. They asked me, how can we do more? And so this past year, I had a gift of being able to remove myself from the classroom, and through that, I took action. I One of the initiatives I took was the Global Green Action Project, and what that looks like is I have different phases, and right now we're in our phase one. And it serves as an educational platform where we are empowering youth and children through mentorship. So, this is a YouTube channel, actually, with a variety of different mentors in the world, helping our world through humanitarian, animal, and environmental initiatives in the most creative ways, the most powerful ways. And they sit with me and we have a conversation about what they do in the world and how they got to do what they're doing in the world, so that youth can sit down and learn from mentors and learn how they can take action steps in their local and global community to start making a difference in that particular aspect of healing our planet and healing our communities. So that's phase one. But we plan on taking this much further. And that phase one supports educators who are also struggling to change their educational realm. Because often, as an educator, sometimes when you're in a public system or in a school system, you can sometimes feel limited by the time that you have with children, which is what I was talking to you earlier about. Was I only get to see them for a certain period of time. So there's only so much you could do. So you want to squish it all in. But if you have a curriculum to follow, sometimes certain things fall to the wayside. So having said that, this phase one allows educators an opportunity to access free information globally so that they can share this information with their students. And students can also access this information outside the classroom on their own time so that they can start to become more aware of what's out there in the world, more possibilities to help their creative juices and inspire them to do amazing things in their local and global communities. So it serves as a great educational platform in the classroom, but also as a tool so they can take it out further. Now, having said that, these mentors also have great programs that the educators can get involved in, students can get involved in as well. And so we can take that further once, if a student takes interest in a particular initiative, they can help raise money for a particular initiative, for instance, and help support that cause. Or in some cases, students, educators can also start to develop a community where they might wish to go and be part of that particular initiative and actually have a hands on experience where we can also support them to do that. And that's pretty powerful stuff. There's that experiential learning outside the school community, and now we're taking it into our global community. There's also the aspect of so phase two, which looks like a membership. So we're able to connect educators, parents, mentors all around the world so we can have live feedback from different locations in the world, and students and youth can start to be empowered by asking questions and getting answers from our experts all around the world and getting real time feedback. So that's incredibly powerful as well. So now there's that interactive piece again, where it's not just reading a textbook or just learning in your classroom, but you start to see the connection outside the school and see the impact it has on a global scale. Because as you know, as a scientist and as a healer, no, and as an educator, there's a ripple effect. And when we do something, we think that it's just affecting us, but it's not just affecting us. If I do harm to myself, even, I'm harming the person next to me because I'm unhappy. And that unhappiness then goes on to the world around me, and it ripples effect much further than we possibly can imagine. And then energy healers know this, how powerful this is globally. So, connecting science and energy together from an educational perspective, we have an opportunity on this Global Green Action Project initiative to be able to show this amazing impact of positivity that we can have by connecting youth and children around the world and having them connect with each other on a much deeper, more meaningful level, spiritually, mentally, physically, and just being able to share ideas, building that powerful community, that global family. So that's phase two. And there is a phase three, but uh, we're going to get into that later. But one of the other aspects of phase two, which is really, really amazing, is that it also allows local communities to be able to start solving problems outside the constraints of the systems out there. And what I mean by that is there's actually affiliates, people that I've connected with that are connected with scientists. And what they're looking for is they're looking for regular people in the world who want to do something to impact the world in a positive way, and they have developed a way to um, basically ask community members in our world to help do research for them. And as a result, if you're a community member and you want to do research, you can literally get paid for this. So you are actually creating a job for yourself, and you are collecting data, scientific data, to empower our scientists and organizations out there who are trying to find solutions for the problems out there in our world. So this is a win-win situation. It's an opportunity for us to look at global family united and empowered to work together to get the scientific data to be able to use in a powerful way to heal our world. And at the same time, we're able to give our communities some income that they might need so that they are being self sufficient and supported. And these companies that we're allying with are all over the world. So people in Africa can do this. People in China can do this. People in Canada, US, and Europe, and so on. So what a wonderful opportunity for even schools to be able to take on this initiative and start raising money for something that is local or global to further support healing of our world as well. So that's part of it as well. So we're literally looking at healing our world and addressing issues on this global green project initiative through those modalities as well. So very exciting.
Yeah. That is exciting. I am fired up by your passion and your enthusiasm, and I'm really grateful that we get to share your message with everybody here through this summit. And I'm wondering if you have any burning desire to share anything else before we finish up. What else is there that didn't get covered that just needs to come out?
Oh my goodness. Well, my book, if anyone's interested in the particular book, it is actually designed to be a wonderful modality for the introduction of mindfulness for young children and actually older children. I've had older children read it to their siblings and their parents, and they've loved it too, oddly enough. So it's a lot of fun. And again, this integrates the natural elements. So the story basically is mindfulness and the power of community and connection with nature in the story. And it's got activities in there that you can literally implement right away to benefit from mindfulness practices in your day. So that's a great tool that is easily implemented, easily accessible. If anyone's struggling with stress and anxiety and they wish to support their children, really great way to access that. That is a great tool for your toolbox, if you will. And then the other thing is, I just would love to. I always come back to quotes from amazing thought leaders in the world. And one of them that I would like to share with you today is one that I often share with others, is a quote from the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama was quoted as saying, and I hope I get this right. um, he once said that if every 8-year-old child was taught the art of meditation, that within one generation we'd have no more wars. I mean, that ultimately sums up our conversation today, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. And I believe that you have that correct. And I think if you don't have it quite verbatim, the Dalai Lama will be okay with it. Um, so if anybody here is inspired to connect with Jennifer, Jennifer, why don't you please share here how they can connect with you if they want to connect with you personally or maybe be part of the Global Green Action Project? Let's just share that information right now.
Sure. Well, we have a website. I can certainly leave that with you for show notes if that helps,
Mhm.
or for your notes. So that I would suggest looking at the website because it explains a little bit more about the modalities and the initiatives that we discussed today. So that's a great thing. And of course, we talked about the Global Green Action Project YouTube channel. So I would highly encourage you to come find us there because we have some great mentors changing the world in the most amazing ways. And it really exciting stuff. It's just such an honor to be able to share that with the world. So that's another great way. And of course, I'm on all social media. You can find me on Instagram. You just find my name, and as well as Facebook. So all those ways will also work. Uh, yeah, come find me. I would love to share more and share in the joy of healing our planet together in global community. It would be a great honor.
Thank you so much, Jennifer Green. Again, I'm super blessed and honored to have you as part of this message, this story that I've been cultivating and now I get to tell. And I know that it was completely synchronous that we found each other. And I'm excited that you get to be on here today. And I'm excited because I know that we have an awesome future together. So thank you so much.
I am just so elated. And as I said at the beginning, I am incredibly grateful to have met you and to be part of your healing of our world in the most magical of ways. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be part of global community and global healing. I feel so very blessed. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And you're welcome. And I want to thank everybody who is here watching and listening today. And we are going to go ahead and close out, and we will see you next time. All right.